In this video tutorial, I'm going to try and make an R2D2 out of my Thymio. And I've already got a program here which was from my Scratch machine, which means that when I turn this right motor here manually, it acts as a dynamo, it generates an electrical current. I take that electrical current that I receive, I check to see whether the motor is updated and whether the motor speed goes above a certain value. And if it does, I generate a frequency from the speaker which is equal to the motor speed multiplied by 4. So I've already done this in a previous video tutorial. And that gives me the kind of that sometimes R2D2 makes. Was that a good copy? Not really, no. Perhaps I should have gone on YouTube and found some examples of R2D2 speaking. Anyway, hopefully you get the idea. Now what I want to have alongside this is the kind of that R2D2 makes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and add that to the left wheel. So this is the left wheel here when I turn my Thymio over. I want to try and make it so I've got the same thing happening here. So let's sort of see, what am I going to do this? Well, I think what I need to do is have I think what I'm going to do is go with another motor detected motor update command. Now that might be a bit interesting because you might think to yourself, well, you know what's wrong with just using this on motor updated over here? But you'll see what I want to do a little bit later on, I hope. Here we go. Let's have a look. What I'm going to do in here is I want to make it so that we're going to have a sound effect happening again. So it's going to be a logical conditional statement. Let's drop that in there. And I'm going to see if the left motor speed is greater than a certain value, because I'm still getting these strange readings on this left motor here. You can see that obviously it detects forward and backwards movements, but then when it's stationary it's still getting a few strange readings. So let's have a look here. Logic, I want to do a comparison here and check to see if the left motor speed this time is greater than 10. And if that is the case, then I'm going to do another play. And this time, let's do the maths. I want to make the frequency equal to the left motor speed. Let's do times 4 again. So it's going to be the same functional statement here, functional expression or algebraic formula. Okay, so let's just run that and see what happens. So now I've got this working, and I've now also got this working. Oh, but it only works when it's going forwards. There we go. So it's exactly the same. Now if I do both, yeah, it's interesting. Which one takes over? The left one seems to take over more. Yeah, the left one seems to take over more so than the right, which is interesting. But there you go. Maybe it's to do with the order that I put these instructions on the screen. Right, okay, but that's just giving me another scratch sound again. I want to have it so it's making a beep, 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 beep sound. So let me see if I can change this to half a second. So 30/60ths of a second. What happens now? That's interesting. Listen to this. So when it finishes the motor movement, it plays that last note for half a second. Fascinating. So it's definitely something happening there, but I'm not getting that distinct beep, 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 beep that I want from R2D2. So what I want to do is not constantly monitor this, and hence not constantly have the sound changing and replacing the previous sound before it's finished. I want to have some kind of time delay happening here. So let's see, how am I going to do that? Well, if I go to the events, there is something here about timer expired, so maybe I can use that. And also up in here as well in actuators, there's something about setting. Where is it now? Where is it? Stop playing. Is it in events? There it is, it's in events. There's something, why is it that mustard colour? How strange. There's something in here about setting the timer period equal to a certain value. Now, if I want to have these notes lasting half a second, I need to put that to 500 milliseconds, and I'm working with the same timer, but how am I going to manage this now? I'm thinking that if I drag this out of here, and if I say that every time the motor is updated, I'm going to reset this timer period, and then when that timer period is expired, so every half a second, basically, every half a second, it's going to run this, and it's going to, at that point, instantly take the motor speed value and use this functional condition here to then calculate the frequency that the note plays for. And if I leave that at half a second, then that should match this timer period here, 30/60ths of a second. Let's see if that works. That kind of works really nicely, but it's too slow. Let's stop that. Let's bring it down to 250 milliseconds, or a quarter of a second, and let's bring this down to 15/60ths, which is of course also a quarter of a second. Let's try that now. Still a bit too fast. I'm not liking that. How am I going to do this? Can I take this down to what would that be? That would be an eighth of a second. That's more like it. In fact, I'm going to try a little bit longer. Is that going to be... Let's see. What am I trying to do? What exactly am I trying to do here? It would be a fifth. A fifth, that would be 12, and that would be 200. Is that going to be better? Quite like that. Should it be faster? Probably faster. That's possibly too fast now. Anyway, you can play with it, can't you? Okay, but I rather like that. So there's my note going in that direction, but of course it's not working in the direction, so let's see what I can do there. Let's just bring in here the else-if statement. So now I'm checking to see if the motor... Now it's a logic, I want to do a comparison here. If, let's see, let's right-click on this. No, right-click on this. Let's duplicate it. If left motor speed is less than 10, then I'm going to duplicate this. Let's play the note as well. Let's check that out. Now it goes in both directions, but am I happy with it being the same effect? Let's see if I can actually bring this down. Multiply this by 2 and try that. Here's a problem. It's, for some reason, it's constantly sending a signal, and I think I know why. Well, it might be because this motor speed is constantly being updated here when it shouldn't be, but I also think as well that this actually just constantly runs all the time. So what I'm going to do is stop this, and I need to stop that kind of constant little noise happening, and I think the solution is only to reset this value here if we get a change in motor speed. In fact, now there's something else I'm going to do as well. I think I'm going to be simplifying the whole thing in a second. Let's put a conditional statement in here. Let's bring across, duplicate this condition, and because I'm going greater than, or less than here, and effectively, well, let's say I want to have the same conditional statement in both cases, so I don't want to multiply it, functional statement. I don't want to multiply it by 4 here, multiply it by 2 here. I want to multiply it by the same value. So this means what I can do is use the different. Oh, no, not different. Can we have greater than and less than? Oh, no, we can't. I hoped that there would be a greater than and less than, but there's not. Okay, well, I'm going to have to ignore that, unfortunately. Let's have, if it's greater than 10, then I'm going to do this. Is that going to solve the problem? Okay, it stopped the little beeping sound there. That still works. It's still going. But if I go back, that works as well. but I'm getting a constant ticking sound there. How very interesting. Let's drop that, let's just put it to the side there. Bring that back in, try that one again. Yeah, so there's definitely this constant kind of ticking sound there, based on the last value that it got. And alongside that, of course, I've still got my scratchy sound over here. Well, you know, it's kind of R2D2-ish, isn't it, to a degree? I'm still not happy with that little ticky sound there. Really fascinating. I'm going to have to try and explore this and see why it's doing that. There's got to be a reason. Anyway, I've kind of got the idea there. I hope you found that useful, and you can have a bit of a play with the settings there and see what you can do and try and make something that sounds a little bit more like R2D2 than what I've been able to achieve here. Anyway, have fun. Hope to see you soon.